real world problems. A lot of times they don't have a clear bottom line win, otherwise we wouldn't debate things.
According to rules set by the candidates themselves.
There's the man. Har det en til Thomas? Okay, so we're starting in 1 minute. Please, everybody, find your seats, please. So 30 seconds to find your seats, please. Jeg må gå ut, for det er ingen her. Det er bare meg. Jeg må bare finne noen... Okay. Stefan, Thomas er på scenen. Presentasjonen er ikke oppe, og Rune er ikke der.
To run between two.
Yeah, it's a big
They
don't have the presentation up, so that's fine. So I'm fixing it, but just a second, okay? And there's no light. Okay. You're in for a ride, which I wanted you to enjoy it. So you all seated down and have a relaxing, You're going to listen to Thomas. So you should be ready. So Thomas is I don't know, I know about building up expectations. I shouldn't do that, Thomas has never been speaking for an audience before. He's new to this game. Well, he has his own TEDx talk, which kind of says something about, the type of person he is. He doesn't like that at all.
No.
No. Thomas is the head of innovation at IBM Norway. I don't need to say anything more. I think that's it.
Thank you very much.
I welcome you.
Yeah. We met on the basketball court, so there's a long history between us. She played for Asker, right? Yeah, and I'm Ullern.
Yeah, I have to say, can I say one more thing?
Here we go.
Sorry.
It has begun. Go for it.
Yes.
Anybody at basketball? Go.
No, this is often, I had this kind of amazing kind of, like really positive things said about me during the break, which is like, do you work in television? Are you like a program manager in television? Which I think is really nice, because I never got to introduce myself. So I'm actually a professor of technology management at OsloMet. I am not somebody that's working in television. But to have that is such an honor that somebody would say that to me as a professor. So thank you for the person who asked about that. Thank you.
Okay, now that, is this it? Yeah, cool. So now the expectations are really high, let's get really low. So I am the Director of Innovation for IBM. And I spend majority of my time either traveling around the world doing speeches like this, and the other majority of the time is following up after those speeches with CEOs and their leader groups discussing disruption. What is AI? What is happening inside of my organization? Why are things not returning back to the way they were? So what I want to do in this presentation is I want to give you a bunch of examples of AI. You've been getting that all day, and we'll give you a couple of more. And this is examples of IBM's AI, but I'm not going to pitch. If I pitch, somebody throw something at me. Is that cool? Anybody got anything ready to throw at me? What, you hate men or something? You were so quick. So, I want to take you and show you where the latest is on AI, what's happening behind closed doors, what's happening in the research labs. And then my very last slide, I'm going to explain to you why things aren't working. Is that cool? Yes or no?
Yes.
Or no. We got a live crowd, huh? Clicker? There we go. So I thought this was kind of cool because I went to a financial conference the other day, and I made this slide myself. That's why it's quite horrible. But I thought it was good because it reminded me of many girlfriends ago. I'm looking at you.
Why me?
Long story. She doesn't remember, so I'm kind of pissed off. Why are we getting into this in public?
This is going great, Thomas.
Okay. This is about AI or Tinder. Anyway, so this ugly slide represents a girlfriend ago. So her father-in-law was a stockbroker, and he made a lot of money. And I was very young back then, and much better looking. So, good old days. And I asked him, Richie, you know, how did you become a stockbroker? And this is the picture he put in my head. He said, Thomas, every single night I read books on how to trade stocks. I read all the time for 7 years. I would read a book, finish a book, read a book on the train. If somebody else was driving, I would have talked to my wife. I read before I made my first trade, which was $5 trade. I bought a stock for $5. The amount of knowledge each one of you have to put into your head over the course of your life to become an expert in one thing is insane. How many of you are students right now? Students, raise your hand. How's your headache? Isn't it insane, right? And now that's for several subjects you have to be a master of, and this is just becoming a stockbroker. So this is not all the books. This is just, you know, what I grabbed off the internet. And what I want to depict in this picture to show you where we're at is that all this information plus all the other stock books ever written in the history of the stock market and libraries, every book ever printed, today can be consumed by AI in 1 second. So it's not read, is read and understood. So this sentence means this to this sentence, just like when we read, you know? It's the same thing. All of the knowledge in stockbroker trading is absorbed by AI or IBM Watson. There's the pitch, don't throw. All in 1 second, and then after that, the AI can then do prediction because the AI has not just read the book, but has looked at the history of the entire stock market, every transaction ever made, the timing of the transaction, the volume of the transaction. It takes all the information, the history of all transactions on the stock market, plus every theory ever created on stock trading, and it's good to go. It doesn't need you. Are you guys aware of this? One person's awake. So the history and the story, do you guys want to know when this all started, when this thing started? It started in 1996. A stockbroker on a Wednesday afternoon who wasn't a nerd, he was just a regular stockbroker, but he liked computers. He said, I will give anyone $1 million if they write the code for me and give me a program by Friday afternoon. A small little company did it. How much was $1 million in 1994? Good money? Yeah, you're just as broke as me, because I was... So I just want to start off with you understanding that this is where we're at, where knowledge is not a competition. What you have to look at it is that this thing, these AIs are our ultimate assistant. Any of you who've graduated, right? Do you all remember the day you graduated? Everybody remember when they got the diploma? Remember? All right, remember that feeling when you're like, dun, dun, dun. Do you remember that? Not honeymoon night, but I'm talking about when you got your diploma. That's a good joke, man. You guys don't get it. I feel sorry for your wife on honeymoon night if you didn't get that joke. That moment when you got your diploma, you said, I could conquer the world. This is the excitement where we are AI now. That excitement, I could conquer the world, is now here with this. A lot of you working up, doing your 9 to 5. You're doing your this sucks. I'm not optimizing who I really am. How come my boss doesn't see me? All these things. Your ultimate, your passion, your drive can now be achieved with the software. Is there for you. This is not a competition. Even though this thing can do everything a stockbroker can, it cannot replace us. Do you guys want to see an example of how it can replace us? Somebody say yes so I can embarrass her. Come on. I wish every woman would approach me so. Men like that. Absolutely. So here we go. This is spontaneous. Okay. This is not prepared.
Okay. So not prepared. Okay, good.
No. Can I touch you?
No. Okay, you're allowed.
All right, thank you.
Only on defense.
Is this a comedy show or what?
I don't know.
So the reason, this is the ultimate example, and this is more in health, and I'll get a little serious. When you guys go to a doctor, and the doctor has all this information, say the doctor's using AI, and the doctor has all the information, has examined her, and the AI is given the ultimate recommendation saying that, you know, at 98% certainty, we should treat her this way. Should we trust the AI for her health? The answer is no, because this is what the doctor does. 100, 500 people said, I could touch you, so.
You got it on record? Yes. Do I need to lay down? What's that? You were looking at that couch.
You're the one who went with that line. I did not go over the line. You suggested it, so we're gonna no. So okay. Here we go. Give me a hand. Give me a hand. Okay. No, don't shake my hand. Oof, bye.
Okay.
Relax. Okay. Relax. You can't look at me, can you? Don't look at me like that. So when you go to a doctor's appointment and the doctor says, "How are you?"
Stressed.
I wonder why.
Don't know.
So you see that the doctor usually holds here, or the doctor does something like this, and the doctor always puts their hand here. Though I noticed in Norway, my fastlegger, if you guys live in Norway, fastlegger doesn't touch you much, right?
No.
No, it's very strange. She's not paid to? That's another conference. Give me, sorry. Interesting audience. So, the reason why, if you were outside of Norway, the doctor would do this, other than she's very attractive and I'm enjoying this moment, the reason why I'm touching her here and this muscle here is that when she says she's stressed, I can feel how tight this is. So the doctor says, "How are you? How's it going with you? Do you have a boyfriend?"
No. Husband.
Do you have a boyfriend?
Yes.
So they ask these questions, how are you doing? And they look at your eyes. So this is the point. They're touching you, they're feeling your pulse, they're feeling this muscle. I'm looking in her eyes. I can see if she's upset, if she's sad. If I say the right question, she goes, you can see all these things. This human interaction, code it. Somebody write the code for that. The interaction of when two people see each other and they like each other. They could joke on stage and stuff like that. Somebody code the way we're interacting and communicating. Anybody?
You can wait until MX and then you can pitch that. That's fine. Yes.
Thank you. So this is I think that's a good example. And you know, the other example I have that's probably good for everybody is everybody remember the first moment before you gave that person your first kiss? Everybody kissed somebody? Yes? Okay. So you remember that moment just before you puckered up and you said, I'm about to go for it? Everybody remember? Remember your toes were curling, your stomach was all this, should I go for it, should I not?
Thomas, do you want me back on stage now?
We can finish this entire presentation right here.
Sorry, I can help myself.
Nothing like doing a presentation with a friend. But that's a good example. That's it. Code that feeling. Code that. Code that feeling of when you're in love. Code that feeling of when you want to kiss somebody. Code that emotional feeling. Code that feeling when you want to get up and just spontaneously make a joke. We can't do it. We cannot code what makes us ultimately human. So AI is there to complement us. It's done all the investigation, it understands all the data. Thank you very much. But then you use what makes you human, combined with the advice AI, and then you make the final decision. So AI, in my world, I will argue with anybody, which will be here all day, it will never replace us. Because it cannot replace me on that sofa. Yeah, okay. I think I made my point. So, this is a cool AI project here in Norway. This is AquaCloud. And in AquaCloud, so we have the salmon fish farming. Fish farming is huge in Norway. And they've been gathering huge amounts of data for many, many decades, and they haven't done nothing with it. And one of the challenges they have is the lice that float in the water that attack the salmon, that kill the salmon. And they're losing billions of dollars every single week on the salmon. So what they've done with the AI is they put into the AI all this data that they're collecting. Temperature, currents, phases of the moon. Anybody ever think about phases of the moon when you work on an Excel spreadsheet? Sounds kind of weird. Exactly. So what they've done is the outcome of this is they can predict where the lice are coming. And so if the lice are coming, let's say the ground or the bottom of the water is there, the top of the water is here, and the lice are coming in at this level, they'll open up the nets and have the salmon drop to the bottom, and then the lice will pass by. But they're able to now predict what the lice are going to do, where they're going to be, how long they're going to be there, because they have huge amounts of data. But before, it was too much data. Now they have this data, and they put it into an AI platform. The platform says, this is what the lice are coming tomorrow at 2 o'clock, 2:07, drop the nets or raise the nets, because the lice are coming here and have the fish up here. So this is a Norwegian project, and they're just starting. They're just starting to get their hands wet and understanding with all this data, where can we go? Can we take this international? So I thought it was cool to give a Norwegian example. This is really cool. This is the worst, another horrible slide of mine, but it's really cool. This was announced last month, and I think it's exciting as hell. These are all the subject areas where AI is now completely mastered that area. Everything, all the knowledge in these 6 areas is now been put into an AI. So if I could say, look at agriculture, look at agriculture. I like this example. So if anybody have a farm, any farmers? One guy's only brave enough. Nobody else is a farmer, and this is Norway. Bunch of liars. Everybody's got a damn farm in this country. Don't look at me like that. So if you guys had a farm, you usually pay somebody to come walk your farm, and this guy goes out there, it's usually a guy, and he walks the farm, touching the grass, you know, getting off on it, a little bit like a pervert. Ooh, yeah, yeah, ooh. And he's examining the grass, and after that, he spends a couple hours walking your grass, charges you 50,000 kroner, writes up a report and says that this grass here suffers from this infestation, the grass over here is dry, this one needs some water. But how much grass can you cover by going like this? Not so much. What they've done now is they've taken all the knowledge of agriculture, put it into the AI, connected it to a bunch of drones. So the one person who has a farm, who's the only honest person here, do you have any kids? Go borrow some kids. All right? For Christmas, you're going to be the ultimate neighbor. All right? You get a couple of drones, and you have them, you're going to have a competition. Tell them whoever can fly the drones over all my land and back is the winner. As the drones are flying over, their camera is looking at the grass or your farm. It looks at it from every millimeter of your entire farm. It looks at the image, feeds it back into the AI. When the drones come back to the kids and they love you to death for Christmas, it has an analysis of every millimeter of your entire farm. What took a guy, I don't know how many hours to do about 5 or 6 mole, you could do your entire 100,000 mole in 15 minutes with analysis broken down to every single millimeter. This is the current state in agriculture, and there's other examples in each one of them. I think this is really exciting. This is not a replacement thing. For a farmer, what can you do now? If the drones with the AI can do that for me as a farmer, what is a farmer now? What business can a farmer get into? He's freed up time. Maybe he or she can spend more time with the family, so on and so on and so on. This is exciting. This is not a replacement thing. This is the exciting thing. You guys get it? What are you doing? I'm playing whatever, sorry. Let's go to the next one. So, this thing doesn't work from far away. Here we go. I thought I would show you another really cool version. So this came out 2 months ago as well. We wanted to show IBM, no pitching. It's been working on this Watson thing for 10 years, and we want to show the world what's the ultimate example and how far it can go. So we made a version of Watson to debate. So what you see here in the picture here is that's the latest one. It's called the IBM Debater. This woman here is a professional debater, and the gentleman over there is a professional debater. So what we did is we said we're going to have a live debate, and we're actually going to put our AI in the middle of it. All it was connected to the open internet. It didn't know what it was going to debate, and it had to debate in real time. Because we said this would be the ultimate version of AI to see how intellectual and how smart it could be. Would you like to see a video of the world's first debate against AI? Yeah. Here we go.
Real world problems, a lot of times they don't have a clear bottom line win. Otherwise, wouldn't debate things.
According to rules set by the candidates themselves,
what we are trying to accomplish here is really to demonstrate that we can have a meaningful and valuable discussion between man and machine.
We are actually trying to show that a computer system can add, if you want, conversation or decision making by bringing facts and doing a different kind of argumentation.
Sorry.
Hello, Dan. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
The debater system tries to understand the concept over which we are debating.
Having analyzed the data, I will argue that we should subsidize music education.
When it gets the topic, until you hear the first speech, it's collecting all the possible arguments, trying to remove redundancy.
It is about recognizing important issues for society.
The system is evolving.
The IBM debater can have all the opinions in the world, but IBM debater does not pay taxes, and we do.
You are speaking at the extremely fast rate of 218 words per minute. There is no need to hurry.
The value of the technology is really to allow decision makers to take more informed decisions. There is a territory which is uncharted to some extent, and this is where we are now.
Thank you for listening.
She just informed me I only have 3 minutes left. This 20 minutes went by fast. So I just want to summarize a whole bunch, and I want to get to that last slide that I promised you. I'll explain to you what is happening inside this offices. This, what you see, the big takeaway you have to have is the accessibility, how you use AI in the next year to 2 years will be through your voice. Remember this moment. Any of you have a Google Home or an Amazon Echo? Anybody? So we're connecting the hell out of that thing. So that slide, if I go back to it, just use your imagination. What we're doing in the labs now is that. We're connecting all the knowledge of all those industries directly into those home devices. So that means that when you're out, let's say this is Norway, so you guys like to hang out in hytter, right? And you guys like to drink, yes? So at 1 o'clock in the morning, you're drinking in the hytter, and you have, you're drunk with your friend, and all of a sudden you have this brilliant idea, and you go, we really should be doing this. For the first time in history, you could actually go to Amazon Echo or Google Home, ask it a question, it'll access all the information, all the knowledge in the world, come back to you with an answer. The biggest thing I can tell you is you don't have to be a programmer to have the benefit of artificial intelligence. You just have to know how to speak. Remember that. This is not a nerd world. It's just a speaking world. I got 1 minute?
Sure.
Okay. Thank God you like me. So I'm going to skip all the way to the last one. By the way, this is the China thing. The previous presenter was right. China is here. They're no joke. And this is the one I want to leave you with. So this is what's happening inside of all the big CEO companies, the CEOs and their leader groups throughout Europe. Medium to large size, small ones are thinking a little different. On the left side here, this is the world that we all were brought up in. That we're working to make profit, that I'm the boss, and that the hierarchy, I'm the boss, I decide over all of you, I control you. This is the world that we were brought up in, and this is the world that now exists and is replacing this world. Today, young people today, the people who founded Uber, the people who found all these unicorns and things like that, they're doing it for purpose, not profit. That's why it's working and the old model's not working. When you like something, these 20, 30-year-olds, when they like something, they say, oh, you like it too? And they share it. They don't say, pay me money. They just share the thing. It's about sharing in networks. It's not about hierarchy anymore. This, I think, is the most important slide. You have to understand what's going on. Why is it when oil was down at $30 and all these CEOs are going, oh my God, what am I going to do? Today, oil's back at 75, 72, and they're all going, why the hell haven't we returned to the good old days? Because of that. It's not going to come back because this side here is the social network of the world, the fabric, and is growing and growing and growing and is replacing what has been for the last few decades.
Great.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would want to say the one and only Thomas Anglero. Yes. This is really interesting because I'm not trained as a technologist, so I'm more in organizational and leadership, and this kind of bridges the two, which is I think is very important. I really want to use a little time because I really want to introduce the next speaker, Lars Rinnan from Nextbridge, CEO of Nextbridge, and also an investor in the area of artificial intelligence, data analytics, etc., etc. Please, I want to welcome you on stage and give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you. So, in 2029, you will not have a job, you will not have a car, and you will not live in a large house. But also, the world will not have famine, it will not have poverty, and it will not have environmental problems. So welcome to a journey into the near, but very different future. There it is. So my name is Lars. I'm heading up a bunch of crazy people at Nextbridge. So we're like 40 professionals with a lot of experience. Not everyone is as old as I am, but almost. And among them, we also have 12 people with PhDs. So that's a pretty high number. That's in astrophysics, math, statistics, everything. So let me give you just a flavor of what kind of people we have at Nextbridge. This is really not the most responsive clicker. Okay, point it to you. Hey, fantastic. So this is Lene. Lene is 33. She's an active girl. She does single-track biking. She used to be on the national team of karate. But she also has a PhD in particle physics and spent 6 years at CERN in Switzerland. What did she do at CERN? Well, she analyzed proton injections into the Large Hadron Collider. How cool is that? So what is the Large Hadron Collider actually? Well, it's actually the world's largest machine. It's 27 kilometers in circumference. It's also the world's coldest place. It's 1.9 Kelvin. And that's minus 271 degrees Celsius for you non-physics out there. So what did they do? They inject boosts of 300 billion protons, accelerating them up to almost the speed of light in opposite directions, and then collide them to try to replicate the Big Bang. And in 2012, something remarkable happened. They actually discovered the Higgs boson. And this earned them the Nobel Prize in physics. You can actually see a sensor picture of one of the collisions up there. I don't know if it looks like that. Lena is in the audience, so you might ask her afterwards if you're curious about what happens. But anyway, this is the kind of people we have at Nextbridge. And the big question is, why did a PhD in physics leave CERN and come join Nextbridge? Well, the answer was to create the future that we're going to see in 2029. I think that's really cool. So the future in 2029 is going to be bright. You'll have AI everywhere. It will control and direct everything that's happening. You'll have facial recognition everywhere. This will open the door to your house. This will open the door to your autonomous car service. This will give you access to work. This will also provide a lot of augmented reality and direct marketing. Some of it will be pretty shitty. And you'll get tired of that kind of marketing, I'm quite sure. But some of it will be quite useful as well. Augmented reality is another thing. It will be everywhere. You'll also see people turning into transhumans, augmented their senses, having biosensors on the skin, or monitoring their health. You'll see people with smart contact lenses, accessing AI through the retina. So it's quite a big topic for 20 minutes. How is the world going to look in 2029? Yeah, we'll have AI on our retina, but we won't have clickers at work. Yeah. It's probably the battery, I would think. So why 2029, you might be wondering? Why not 2030? That's a bit of a rounded number. Well, the reason why it's 2029 is... Okay. Fantastic. The reason why 2029 is because that's a milestone in our development. In 2029, a $1,000 computer will equal the computing power of the human brain. That is 10 to the power of 16 cycles per second. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will change everything. So I'm going to touch on just two areas, as the world in 2029 is a pretty broad topic. I'll touch on jobs, and I'll touch on the environment. Quite important topics, though. So, first, jobs. So what happens with jobs? Everyone is asking this question today. What is going to happen? Is it going to be automated? Will I have a job in the future? Well, I'm here to tell you that the job market in 2029 will look nothing like what you see today. Half the people will have a job. The other half will do community work, financed with universal basic income. We're going to look at both of those groups. So first, you have the techies. So why do you call them techies? This is actually all the people who still have a job, but it's tech supported to a large extent. It's AI everywhere. You have AI guiding every analysis you do, every decision you make. It will be prompted with options by augmented reality. You will go even further than the transhumans we just saw. You won't just have smart contact lenses. But some of you will also have nanobots in your bloodstream, connecting your neocortex to an AI service in the cloud. Now, is that super cool? Or is it really scary? What do you think? Who would like to have some nanobots in your brain? Crazy people. But I think you're right. It's going to happen. Let's go to the other class of people. Let's call them socialites, because these people are more concerned with doing social good, doing humanitarian work, doing cultural work. These are the guys who are cleaning up plastic from the beaches, from the ocean. They're taking care of your elders. And maybe like this guy, who used to be an accountant, and of course he was laid off in 2019 when a robot came and took his job. But what he's really passionate about is kids and soccer. So what does he do? Well, he becomes a soccer coach for kids and has a lot more fulfilling life. Yep. And maybe you should try to think a bit different about this, because a lot of people say that, well, jobs define who I am. Without a job, I'm nothing. I have no worth. I'm not quite sure that is true. Maybe that's just old habit. This is Professor Robert Unger from Harvard. I think the statement is really good. He says no one should have to do work that can be done by a machine. Consider that statement, because I think there's a lot of truth to it. I mean, if it could be done by a machine, faster, better, cheaper than what you can do, why should you cling on to that job? Maybe you should free your time to do something else, something that you're really passionate about. I think we're going to see a totally different mindset about jobs in 2029. So how did we get there? So 50% of the jobs were taken over by robots and algorithms. That's nothing new. Everyone is talking about that. So all the jobs, all the dirty jobs, the dangerous jobs, the boring jobs got taken over. But who actually misses the dirty, dangerous, and boring jobs? No one. All the routine jobs were taking over, both the manual routine jobs, but also the cognitive routine jobs were taking over. This happened in the first half of the 2020s. Going over to the second half, also non-routine cognitive jobs were being taken over or assisted by AI. So what happens then? The community or the government services are not capable of dealing with 10, 20, 30, 40, or even 50% unemployment. It just can't cope. So you need a different idea for that area. And I think the big idea is actually universal basic income. It's an old idea that hasn't caught on, but it is beginning to catch on. And in 2029, it will be a necessity. So what is UBI actually? Well, basically it gives you a guaranteed, unconditional income that you can actually live on to everyone. So that kind of de-links jobs from income. And what happens then? Yeah, a bit quick. So I think if you consider the question, what would you do if your income were taken care of? I think that's a fantastic question. It's a bit hard. It's a bit unusual, perhaps. But I would like you to take this question with you. And when you get home tonight, sit down, turn off everything, television, computer, everything. Just think about that. What would you actually do if your income were taken care of? Would you do something totally different? Probably. Would you do something that's closer to your heart? Yeah, I think so. Something that you're more passionate about. So UBI is actually quite a good idea. It's a bit extreme when you think of it the first time, but you start thinking about it. it makes sense, because this makes entrepreneurship blossom. People start making jobs for themselves that they hadn't thought about. Crime rates go down, bureaucracy go down, and poverty is, to a large extent, eradicated. Now, isn't that a pretty nice future? But, of course, what you're all thinking is, how the hell do you finance that? Where do you get the money? And, of course, for every good idea, there are some hard questions. I'm not claiming to have, all the answers. But it seemed that the answer to financing UBI actually was taxation of the hyper-profitable companies. So what's a hyper-profitable company? It's actually those companies that have extremely large profits due to automation. They laid off a lot of people, replaced them with robots, lower their costs, increase their profits, and many of them have based their business model on utilizing your data. Not their data, your data. It's actually your property. So, if you go to the next one, this slide explains pretty clearly what the global wealth inequality is all about. So, at this side, you see that 0.7% of the population actually owns 41% of the global wealth. And this was in 2015. It only got worse. In 2020, half of the global wealth was actually owned by only a handful of people. And these were the companies like Facebook, Baidu, Google, Amazon. You know these guys. So is it fair that Facebook should have a profit of 70% based on utilizing our data? Well, I'm not a socialist, although it sounds like that. I always voted blue until I started thinking about this, because this is not sustainable. This has gone too far. And it needs to be redistributed. And if you take some of the hyper-profit of these companies and distribute it, it's actually enough to finance universal basic income. Yeah. So let's look at the other side. We talked about jobs. Let's look at the environmental problems. So were all the problems eradicated in 2029? No, they weren't. But they were declining at a rapid pace. And why is that? Well, it's largely based on renewable energy. Solar had become ubiquitous. It was everywhere. It was really cheap, bordering on free. All the cars had become autonomous, going on electric fuel. And the environment problems were going down. Let's look at that. Yeah. So transportation is now autonomous, it's electric. No one owns a car in the cities. Why should you? I mean, you have a service that gives you every kind of transportation that you need. If you want to go to the cabin in Hemsedal, you need a 4x4. If you want to go on a date, you just call a small, red, really fast car. And if you want to go on a party, you have something like this, with a sofa and Prosecco in the bar. Why would you not want that? It's fantastic. Then cars would be utilized 70% of the time and not 4%, which is the case now that we own a car or two or three. What happens with the city when you take away the car ownership? These cars go out of the city to charge in charging parks. That means that all the parking lots are freed up, and they become parks, playgrounds, or urban vertical farming. famine is also eradicated to a large extent due to hyper-efficient farming, hydroponic farming, which needs 99% less soil and 90% less water. It could be done indoors, and there's no need for pesticides. It's locally produced, so you don't have to transport it with ships or freighters or trucks.